Glad to see you back with us again. Hi, I'm your host, Roger Monder. On this week's Breaking Ground, we are going to touch base with some young people who have decided to make a career out of farming in this province. Chan Wiseman is one such person. Ever since he was a kid, he has been involved in the family's fox farm. He loves working on the farm, and after spending many years in the business, there's not too much he doesn't know about it all. He is also president of the Young Farmers of Newfoundland and Labrador, and puts a lot of effort into encouraging young people to seriously consider farming as a career option. Darrell Legge of Harbour, Maine is a third-generation poultry farmer who truly enjoys what he is doing. His operation consists of raising over 114,000 chicks. It requires constant vigilance, daily paperwork, and attention to detail. It also requires interaction with other support companies that supply feed and chicks. Sometimes it's quite a balancing act. Eric and Michelle Spears of Cormac are new entrants to the dairy cow industry. To them, farming is more than a business. It's a lifestyle. Being new entrants, they have a lot to learn, but being accepted members of the dairy cow industry, they have been lucky to get lots of support and help. They have also been lucky to have 3 children who just love being on the farm. And on our regular interview feature, Monique Tobin will interview Chan Wiseman in his capacity as president of the Young Farmers of Newfoundland and Labrador. Believe me, you'd be making a mistake if you changed that dial. Stay tuned for some other great stories of agriculture in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Welcome back. Well, let's get to it. We're off to visit Chan Wiseman on the family fox farm.
Over 20 years ago, Chan Wiseman's parents started a fox farm in North Bay. While they still have a strong input into the running of the farm, Chan shoulders a lot more of the responsibility for its operation. Chan credits their passion for rural Newfoundland and also their passion for farming in general for making the farm work. He is thankful for having been exposed to the farm at a young age. It is this youthful introduction that has given him a great insight in how the whole cycle of raising foxes evolves.
Well, the pups are born in the spring, in April, May, and June. And we have different varieties of fox as well, different mutations. We have silver fox and red fox, and we have other fox that are more of a European origin, more from the Arctic climates. So a lot of them, they have their pups in late June. You know, we have some Arctic fox and some blue and shadow. And some polar white fox. So a lot of those fox are born in June, whereas the silver and the red fox, they would be born in late April and into May. So they're born in the spring, and then they're fed throughout the summer and into the fall, and they have a fairly short growing season, and they're usually fully grown by October. So as you can well imagine, they're going to be eating a lot of food. So throughout the summer months, we're making a lot of food and we're producing a lot of food, and that contains a lot of chicken and a lot of fish and a lot of pellet feed. And so we're going through quite a significant amount of food throughout the summer months. And into October, they're fully grown. And by November and December, that's when we do the harvest. That's when the pelt would be at its prime quality. So we do the harvest mainly in December, and then our numbers, they will decrease going into the new year, and then we go through the cycle again, and we go through the mating process mainly in February and March.
The harvest usually occurs in December. After the excess fat is removed from the pelt, it is stretched on a board and dried. Next, it is ready for the market, where hopefully the fur fetches a good price. So basically, the farm has to run on one annual paycheck. A big part of that paycheck goes to providing a balanced diet to the over 1,500 animals on the farm. Ralph Eddy, ranch foreman, explains the operation of the feed kitchen.
As the seal is ground, we put it into the mixer and add some water just to give it a good mix there, and some more seal oil, and then a little bit of cereal till we get up to the amount that gradually makes the mix, and then we add some chicken, like 100 pound of chicken to mix with the seal, and then about the same amount of fish. So the diet is up to standard, and then some more water, and Multivitamin is another thing that we add to it. So we keep that going and repeat that operation till the mix is done, and then let it mix for about 40 minutes or so.
For Chan Wiseman, there's more to farming than just working on the fox operation. He is presently the president of the Young Farmers of Newfoundland and Labrador, and every chance he gets, he likes to talk about the pluses of getting into a fur farming operation.
You got to have a passion for it, I think, no doubt about it. If you're going to get into farming, you're going to get into fur farming, you know. So you got to have that, I guess, that love of the outdoors, and you know, you've got to be, you've kind of got to be, you know, pretty passionate about it. But there are a lot of opportunities, especially, you know, in the fur industry right now, and you know, the markets are good, the prices are good right now in mink and foxes, and you know, especially mink. You know, we're seeing a lot of mink farms being started here in the province, and there is a market there, and the price is stable. The Chinese are buying a tremendous amount of fur, as well as the Russians and a lot of other people from Scandinavian countries, you know, so, over in Norway and whatnot. So there is a market there. The Chinese, you know, they're demanding more and more fur every year. Right now, they're saying the Chinese are probably demanding about 30 million pelts a year. Newfoundland sent, I think, this year, probably going to send around 100,000 mink pelts to market now this year. Chinese are demanding probably around 30 million, and the Norwegians and a lot of the Scandinavian countries, they've kind of maxed out, and this is why we're seeing a lot of these European farmers come over. They can't meet the demand over in Europe because they're running out of space in Europe. There's not as much space as what would be here in Newfoundland or in Canada. So there's an opportunity there for you know, for a young person who would really enjoy fur farming, you know, to get into something that you know, there could be you know, there could be a market. And the Chinese are buying more and more. I mean, this number is increasing each and every year. They're saying in the next 5 or 10 years that number could go up to 50 million. Pelts that are going to be demanded by the Chinese buyers. So you know, while there's a lot of competition in the fishery, you know, with the Chinese, and you know, a lot of, you know, fish being processed in China, you know, we've got to think about ways, you know, that we can utilize the Chinese market. Maybe the fur industry is one of those areas. So there are opportunities, but there are a lot of you know, challenges involved in that. And for a young person, you know, I would encourage them, but you know, you got to know what you're getting into as well, right?
Stay tuned for Monique Tobin later on in the show, as she has a more in-depth talk with Chan about young farmers in this province. Now we're off to Harbour, Maine to meet Daryl Egg.
This picture is probably the first image the general public will have of the chicken industry in Newfoundland and Labrador. What the general public doesn't usually see is this image of simply more chicks in a larger setting. Daryl Egg, third-generation chicken farmer in Harbour, Maine, gives us an idea how big the larger setting is. He begins by describing his workday at one of his facilities.
Behind us here now, this is one of our bigger buildings. It houses, including it houses probably around 88,000 birds. And usually the way my day goes, I get up around 7:30, and I'll go around, I'll check all the buildings just to make sure that all the birds are okay and all the systems are working fine. And then I'll start and I'll walk over every square inch of the building just to, again, I check all the feeding systems and the watering systems, air quality, temperature, ventilation, heat, just to make sure that the birds are growing in, they're happy. And that usually takes about 3 to 4 hours. So probably around 11 or 12 is when I finish, like, I'm out of the barn. And then I start doing paperwork, because like a farm is no different than any other business. You still got all your different paperwork that you must do. And then I go back and I'll check the birds again. Again, this involves walking around the whole facility, monitoring, adjusting whatever equipment needs to do. And then there's more paperwork. And then it's back in the facility again to check the birds again. And then I usually go home for a couple hours, and around 9 o'clock I'll come back for probably an hour or two. It's just to walk around to make sure that the birds are okay and everything's fine. I leave them for 8 or 10 hours while I sleep, and then I come back and I do it all over again.
Like most enterprises, they are interconnected with other support businesses. Obviously, a primary connection is the supply of chicks.
When the chicks arrive, they come from a hatchery, Island Chicks, located out in Whitburn. When they get here, they're probably a couple hours old. We'll take them off the truck and we'll lay them carefully on the chaff litter of the barn. And when they go in the facility, there's feed there readily available for them, and water, and they have the proper temperature. And usually they just get up, and after you put them down, they get up and they start running around and eating and drinking, and that's pretty much what you're going to see.
Then there is the feeding of over 114,000 chicks. It requires special attention.
The types of feed, there's usually probably five different types of feed. Basically, it's just for when the animal's really small. You want like a fine powder, a dust kind of thing, so they can eat it very easily and they can get it down and digest it very easily. We get our feed from Co-op Feeds, which is located in St. John's, and their feeds, I'm pretty sure they get all their supplies and whatnot from the West, grains and stuff like that. But it's all made in Newfoundland, and usually out in St. John's. It was brought out to us in specialized trucks. These trucks are the feed and everything's sealed in tight, and they hook onto our silos and they blow the feed in, and basically that's pretty much it. They blow it. It comes from the plant to the truck, and comes directly from the truck into the silos, and then it goes into the birds.
Daryl is also an active member of the Young Farmers of Newfoundland and Labrador. With the average age of a Canadian farmer being 55, it highlights a problem that is regional, national, and international.
And I mean, your average person just thinks that a farmer is, he's 70 years old and he got the pitchfork and the coveralls, and that's not the image. I mean, it's still hard work, there's no doubt about it, but I mean, like anything, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. I think, especially here in Newfoundland and Labrador, younger people should be looking at the agriculture industry, especially in rural Newfoundland, because, I mean, you're your own boss, it's a good business, it's a good life. I mean, you can employ people, and you could stay home. You won't have to go away. I mean, you could stay wherever you're to. I mean, you could just stay in Newfoundland, which would be great for people.
Daryl seems to have it all in hand. Now it's time for a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be in Cormac on the west coast of the island. Glad to see you're still with us. Now we're off to visit Eric and Michelle Spears in Cormac.
Eric and Michelle Spears are the exception to the rule. Many farm operations have been passed down from generation to generation, but this couple basically started in 2005. But determination and dreams brought them successfully through the province's new entrant process.
Well, for us, we get in as a new entrant. There was a process that started with 10 applicants, I guess. And it was narrowed down, to the ones that they thought were quite serious. And ourselves, we wanted to show that we were pretty serious. We lived in Pasadena, so we bought a house up here and some land to get started. And a year and a half later, we bought this barn with nothing in it and just started fixing it up a little bit with hopes and anticipations that we would be one of the fortunate ones. And we did our business plan, did our business plan, and we actually then had to go and get financing through our business plan to show that it would be a viable operation, and we did that, and we were one of the two picked. Put a lot of late nights in to get started, and we found out actually in February of 2005 that we had the quota, and then we just started fixing up and cleaning up and repairing and whatever needed to be done to get milking cows. And we were fortunate here that everything but a milk tank was in the barn. We just fixed it up and got it running again, basically.
But it seems they bought more than a farm. The former owner, Mike Crawford, has been a great support. And even though he is retired, he continues to help out on the farm.
Well, Mike has been a great asset for us. He just lives in Deer Lake still. He's not that far away. And of course, he has 20-odd years experience. So, anything breaks, we basically call Mike and, do we need a hand here, Mike? And then even to the cows, I mean, we're always asking them questions on the cows, from feet to breeding to what they eat, and out in the field, making the hay. And when you have 20-odd years experience, it's a great asset just to be able to say, hey, I got a question, and we always get good answers.
Forage is always a big concern for a dairy farmer. To buy hay is very expensive, but with their 120 acres of land, they find themselves in a good position.
And we're self-sufficient in forage. We have all our own hay. We don't have to buy any extra, because for us, we just can't afford that. We have to grow it and have it, and if we have it out in the field, then we'll put the cows in the barn. If we don't have it in the field, then we'll just seed and cultivate more land till we get enough to put more cows in the barn. Right now we have 120 acres of cleared land that we make our hay off of, and we lease fields from people that have some hay land and they want it mowed and so on, so we'll go and mow that for them. Today actually we're finishing up our second cut. We're baling just in behind the barn here to finish off for the season, and we actually had a great year of forage, so it was really good.
For Michelle Spears, owning and working on a farm has great rewards. There's the obvious one of being independent, but the idea of raising their kids on a farm has also been a big plus.
That was one of the drawing cards for us, because I've said it before, this is not just a job. Obviously, it's 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and it's a lifestyle. And it was one, I guess, that my husband and I both had thought we'd be interested in. Even as children, we both had a desire to you know, towards farming and interest in it. And I guess that just developed as we became adults and went to school, and then, you know, in our married life, we decided this is something that we'd like to do, and it's something that's very important that both of us are on the same page on this, and that you know, it's a team thing. It's not. It would be very difficult if it just was one of us, because you really need to have both parties involved in it, in all aspects. And for the children, I think it is a great way for them to grow up. They certainly learn the value of hard work and or hard fun. And you know, and just exposure to so many different things is amazing. The things that they pick up and how they can explain to somebody who has no experience in the industry what's going on. They love it when people come and they take them on tours of the farm or the barn and explain things to them. When we moved here, wasn't just the dairy thing, but having other animals as well. And we've had hens, laying hens, and the kids got pet ducks there, and the ponies are probably their favorite, because some of them, the older two, are in riding lessons, and they just really love working with the animals, and particularly with the ponies, Newfoundland ponies we have there. And so that's a good interest for them, and it gives them a broad exposure to different animals and different things in agriculture.
Both Michelle and Eric feel very happy about being accepted as new entrants. They also feel very lucky about being a part of the farming community in Cormac.
Since we videotaped that last piece, we've heard that the Spears have had a new addition, a little baby girl. Congratulations on behalf of Breaking Ground. Now it's time for a short commercial break. We'll see you soon. Now here's Monique Tobin speaking with Chan Wiseman about some of the concerns of young farmers in the province.
Do you think a lot of young people understand the opportunities that do exist? Are there challenges to getting that message out there?
Yes, absolutely. There are definitely many challenges. Right now, one of our biggest challenges, or the industry's challenge, is the fact that the average age of a farmer is quickly approaching 60 years of age. So that's tremendous when we look at the broader picture. And what does that mean for the industry? Well, number one, it means we got to get more young people involved. So that's one of our big challenges. Another one of our big challenges is getting the message out there about agriculture, not only to encourage people to get into the industry, but just to create awareness of the value of the industry, the importance of agriculture. Without farmers, people essentially wouldn't eat. So from that perspective, it's really, really important.
When you talk to young farmers, do you hear from young farmers a sense of satisfaction with the kind of work that they're doing, owning their own farm, running their own farm? What kinds of feedback do you hear from them about that career option?
Well, this is one of the big selling points about agriculture and selling it to young people, to young farmers that are already out there. The fact that there are a lot of rewarding things about getting into agriculture, and one of them is entrepreneurship. And most people who are involved in agriculture or in farming own their own businesses, and that can be very rewarding because you're number one, you can be self-employed, you run your own business, you're your own boss. So a lot of those rewarding benefits are really there for someone who wants to get involved in agriculture.
Chan, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Despite the problems, it seems farming for a young person is still a career that has a lot of advantages. Next week, we're all over the province. We'll be going from the east coast to the west coast of the island, and then it's off on a trip to Labrador. Honey has the color of gold, and in many ways, both Aubrey and Vi Golding of Paradise look at it that way. Not necessarily in financial terms, but more as an opportunity to develop many products that can come from the production of honey. The collecting and refinement of chemical-free honey is satisfaction enough, but being able to develop and produce highly beneficial byproducts has raised the bar even more. Brent Chaffee is the owner of the third largest dairy farm in the country. This large West Coast operation in some ways typifies the profile of the dairy industry in this province. The potential seems endless and is a great employer in the area. Of course, the potential lies in secondary processing with the promise of yogurt and cheese production. Uncle Sam's Butcher Shop in Happy Valley Goose Bay is a landmark. If you want to buy caribou and caribou-related products, this is where you want to go. Ed Badcock and his son Randy manage the store, with Randy and some fellow hunters doing most of the hunting. But with new farmland opening up near the town, Randy wants to explore some livestock opportunities. Monique Tobin is back next week and will interview Dick Whittaker. Over the years, Dick has been involved in many aspects of farming. His experience has given him an interesting overview of agriculture in the province. He will also explore some of the steps that have to be taken in order for agriculture to expand to its full potential in this province. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm your host, Roger Monder, and we'll see you next week.